Koinganao Lomwa, ni di shinzi ach kok paposit, ndami menzi tekwach, ni nonjai al napawi la kawit, ni ha dil napawi. Greetings, everyone. The story I'm going to tell today is one of the Lunaapeew creation stories. And the reason I say one of the Lunaapeew creation stories is that there's many different tellings of the story, depending on who your storyteller is. And so I wanted to preface that because wherever you go, there are going to be different tellings of this. The one that I'm going to tell starts with Kishalimokwang. And Kishalimokwang is the one who thought us into existence. And Kishalimokwang for the longest time lived in darkness. And during that time, he was quite content. Until he wasn't, as they say. And so Kishalimokwang decided to send their thoughts in all directions, to the east, to the south, to the west, to the north, up and down, all around. And as those thoughts went out, they started to create the stars. And as those thoughts came back to Creator, and they started to create the planets. And with that, when they came back to Creator, they started to make this sound. And we imitate that sound of the Creator's thoughts with the shakers or the rattles that we use in our ceremonies today to help us connect to Creator's vision. And through the time, the Creator's vision created the galaxies and the universe and our planets, until it made our planet, the Earth, Gukana Aki. And when that planet was created, it had many different elements that needed to be there in order for it to take shape. From the water, to the air, to the earth, to the fire. All four elements creating a balance on Earth so life could grow. And over time, and as time passed, many different evolutions happened to the earth. And during that time, the plants were created and the animals were created. And during that time, we had all of the order of creation leading up to the human type people. But for the longest time, there was no human type people. And all of Creator's gift, or Kishalimokwang's gifts, were given to all of life on the earth. And so it came a time when Creator wanted to create another being, one that could appreciate the complexity but the harmony of all the rest of life on earth. And so Creator went to the rest of creation, to the sands, the soils, to the rocks, to the plants, to the medicines, to the trees, to the four-leggeds, the winged ones, the reptiles, and the amphibians, and the fish, and said, I want to create a new being that can enjoy, that would appreciate all of creation and live with you. And so he went to creation and said, I need you to gather together and ask you, what will you give to this new being in order for it to live on this earth? And so began the great council of all of creation to decide what they would give to this new being. And so from that point, the Creator created a new being. And there were different iterations of that being leading up to the beings that were before us. And that was Lapwat's people. In our language, that's the mischievous one, or the clever one, or the wise one. So Lapwat. And Lapwat is the one that had an appreciation for all life on earth and could communicate just like how I'm talking now, communicating with you. And it came to a time when Lapwat's people did not appreciate all of creation anymore. And so the toad, the great horned toad, and the great horned serpent went to Creator and started to discuss what would happen to Lapwat's people. The great horned toad wanted Lapwat's people to live, and the great horned serpent wanted them to die, because they had lost all respect for the rest of creation. And from that point, a fight ensued between the two. A fight that brought in the thunders, And as the thunders were watching the fight, they were cheering for their friend, the great horned toad, until the serpent was successful in killing the toad. And when that happened, the thunders took up the fight for the toad and started fighting with the serpent. And as they fought, and as they went around the world, they fought and they fought and they fought. And because the thunders were there, it started to rain and rain and rain, until the thunders were victorious in slaying the serpent. But at that time, all the earth was covered in water. And so Creator had to start anew with a new being. And so Creator came down to the waters and asked that those that could swim, that survived the fight, to get on a turtle's back. And the turtle said that he would give of his body for this new earth and for this new people to live on. And so it took 4 different beings to create the earth. The first one to go down into the ocean to find mud at the bottom of the ocean was the loon. He was unsuccessful and he perished. The second one to go down to the bottom of the ocean was the beaver. And the beaver went down and he was unsuccessful and he perished. The third one to go down was the otter. And the otter swam as far as he could and went twice as long as the beaver, but he was unsuccessful and their bodies floated up to the top of the water. The fourth one to go was the muskrat. And the muskrat said that I must go and help, I must try and get the earth, even though the rest of the animals that were on the turtle's back laughed at him. He said, my brothers and sisters, they sacrificed themselves to go down, so I must try. And so the muskrat dove into the water and she swam and she swam and she swam. And she would pop up every now and then because she got stuck in a current and she was struggling getting down. And at that point, she said, Kishala mokwang kwinga wichmeal. Kishala mokwang kwinga wichmeal. And that means, Creator, the one who thought us into existence, help me, accompany me. And with that, she dove down into the water once again. And this time, there was a fish at the bottom of the ocean that heard her cries, and they scooped up some earth from the bottom of the ocean and brought it up. And as the little muskrat was coming down, that fish brought that dirt, and she reached into that fish's mouth and reached that mud, and she made her way back up to the top of the ocean. So but as she reached the top, she died because she couldn't make it all the way without drowning. And so the other animals brought her body up onto the turtle's back, and they started to sing their songs of mourning, sing their songs of grief, and celebrated her life. And no one seemed to check her hands. And then when they went to clean her body, they noticed that her one little paw was clenched closed. And they opened it, and there was that earth in the palm of that muskrat's hand. So Creator came down, Kishalamokwang came down and said, now take that mud and put it in the center of the turtle's back. So the rest of the animals took that earth into the turtle's back, and Creator said, now sing your songs of life, sing your songs of celebration. And so each animal did a dance, and they went counterclockwise around that earth. And as they danced around that earth, a tree started to grow, and grass started to grow, and strawberries started to grow, and sweetgrass started to grow, and all these different medicines started to grow. They were seeds that lay dormant inside that earth that was at the bottom of the ocean. And the turtle started to grow. And from that tree, the tree went up into the air, and its branches came down, and the roots from the bottom in the ground started to come out. And on one side, the roots came up, creating a doll. And on the other side, the branches came down, creating a doll. And once those dolls were fully formed, Creator came and took some of that water from the ocean, and took some of that air from the sky and breathed it, and took some of that fire from the center of the earth and put it in where the heart would be. And from that came Lunaapeew, and that one being female and one being male. And so that's how we were created as Lunaapeew on Turtle Island. And that's a short version of our creation story. And Ashik.